Alrighty, great. I see the numbers are trickling in now, but I think we can get started. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here with us this evening or afternoon, depending where you are in the country, across the world. I am very happy that we are here with representatives from our biology department. So if you are interested in biology, have been accepted into one of the biology programs, this is going to be a really great session for you to learn more about the major. Meet a wonderful faculty member, Dr. Aaron Roth over here, as well as 4 of our amazing students who are just finishing up their experience at Northeastern and can share more details about what their experience was like. So to begin with, we do have a chat box feature for question and answers. So you can submit your questions at any point in time throughout this session, and we will get to as many questions as possible in the next hour. Likewise, if you have any questions for any specific person, you can just write their name in there as well, and we will try to get to those as well. So without further ado here, I am going to turn this over to Dr. Aaron Roth from the biology department. Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody. It's great to have you with us. I can't see you, but I know you're there. I'm just going to share my screen real quick and bring up the slides that I'd like to show you. Here we are. First, greetings and welcome to the biology department. I know you've gone through a lot to get here, and we're happy that you've made it to us. A little bit about me. My name is Professor Aaron Roth. I am an associate professor in the biology department. I'm also the director of academic operations, so I deal with scheduling and advising and all sorts of things. And so while you're going through your education here, if you have any academic issues at all, feel free to come find me. In non-pandemic times, I'm usually pretty easy to find, but if you email and put an exclamation point and say, please help, 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 I'm being attacked by a bear, I will notice it, I promise you. Believe it or not, back in 1992, I was right where you are right now as a freshman biology major at Northeastern. And I stayed and stayed. And so if you've come here looking for an objective representation, you're not going to get it. I'm just going to tell you that right now. All right. I love this place, and I know you will too. So let's begin real quick as soon as I get on the right slide here. We'll start off with the academics. Right. Within the biology department, we have 2 majors. We have the straight biology major and the cell and molecular biology major. Now, the differences between these 2, obviously, is the cell molecular biology major is a little bit more focused towards that subdiscipline within biology. So some of the electives you would take would be a little more directed towards that. Whereas the biology major is a bit more general and allows you to explore a little bit more. If you're unsure which one you'd want to go into, the first year is the same. It doesn't matter. And if you want, you can switch back and forth after that first year when you find what your interests are. If you're just unsure in general and you know you like science, biology is always the first place to start. Every scientist is doing biology in one way or the other, whether they admit it or not, right? Chemistry is doing biology, physics is doing biology, all the engineers are taking biology. So it's a good place to start and start your exploration. Right? Once you get going, right, and you start thinking about graduate school, which as a scientist is something you want to think about, right, especially as you drive your career forward and take control of it, we have 2 options that will help you sort of accelerate that. They're called +1 programs, basically where you'll add a year onto your undergrad. And if you add 1 year, you can get a BS, MS combined, right? A bachelor's degree followed by a master's degree in biology, biotechnology. Right? If you add a year 2, you can get a bachelor's with a PhD, right? You go seamlessly straight into the PhD program and get your doctorate working with one of our faculty members. And that's a great way to build on a relationship that you've started during your undergrad. And we have the first student going through this program right now. His name is Fausto. You get here, you'll meet him, you'll love him. Everyone loves him, right? Then also maybe you like biology and you want to apply it in another direction. We've been working with other departments and other colleges to build out these sort of combined majors, like biology and computer science, right? That's an obvious pairing, right? Considering all of the programming and modeling that goes into biology nowadays. right? Biology and mathematics, right? Can you imagine how marketable you're going to be if you have a biology and mathematics degree, right? For the same reasons. Biology and political science, right? That is huge right now. We are actually developing courses in ethics and policy that I'll tell you about in a little bit. Then biology and English, which is actually, if I could go back in time, I might actually do that, because I love scientific writing. Right, it's one of the fun things that I find within the field, right? And for all those combined majors, right, you will sort of be housed in both departments. You can choose your home, but you'll have two sets of advisors, two sets of eyes looking over you and making sure that you're guided through. Right, you'll never be left alone, and you'll never get lost. I promise you that. Now, as you know, with Northeastern, we are very experientially based, right? And a lot of people look at that and they think co-op, full stop. And that's not really the case. Sure, co-op is experiential by its nature, but we build the experiential side into everything we do, right? That's everything about Northeastern, including the courses, including experiences on campus, right? So what you're going to have is sort of two paths, two integrated paths. One dealing primarily with your coursework, right? Being in class with professors that are in the field doing current research, some professors that are dedicated to teaching but keep up on everything, and are basically taking all this information, some of it classical, some of it brand new, and bringing it into the real world and bringing it into an applicable scenario for you, so that you can take this information and start to apply it in jobs and on-campus research and everything right away, right? And the second thing is that actual experience. So there's co-op, right? And as you'll find out, co-ops are real jobs, right? You apply for them, you interview for them, right? They're actual job experiences where you get paid, you work full time. And the great thing about it, and our students will tell you this, is co-op is great because you get experience and you find out what you like, and you find out what you don't like, which is also important. But also you walk out of there with people that know you and people that can write you real letters of recommendation with detail and that are personal, and say, I worked with this person, I know them, I know that they will make a great addition to medical school or to another job, or whatever it may be. And that is invaluable, right? But it's not just co-op, like I said. We also bring students into the research labs on campus, right? We take as many undergrads as we can, as long as we can supervise you safely and give you something real to do, right? If you want to get into a research lab on campus, you can. Maybe not your first year, right? But definitely starting your second year, opportunities build up. And a lot of people get in their first year. But at some point, if you're persistent and if you build relationships, you will get in and you will get this hands-on experience actually in a research lab on campus. And besides that, I'm going to show you coursework that we have that is based on experiential learning. Now, what kind of research is happening? There's a broad swath, because biology is a very broad field, right? It really encompasses almost all of science, right? And you can see on this list, right, human brain circuitry and the science of human movement, right? That is Dr. Dagmar Sternad on the top picture there, right? Taking people and putting them in virtual realities and having them interact with robots and monitoring their movements and measuring things and looking at applications to like Parkinson's disease and things like that, right? In the middle right there, right, the groundbreaking Northeastern research sweeps the globe. That's Dr. Ken Lewis from our Antimicrobial Discovery Center, right? He and Dr. Slava Epstein work with bacteria, some bacteria that can't be killed, right? If you ever have heard of chronic bacterial disease, why is that, right? Why didn't the immune system fight it off the first time? Why is it able to come back? Well, they've discovered these persister cells, and they've researched methods on how to activate them and destroy them. They've also found new antibiotics, right? No new antibiotics have been discovered for many years before they did, right? The other thing they've learned to do is to grow bacteria that can't normally be grown in a lab, right? If you want to study it, right, you need to be able to grow it in the lab. You need to be able to culture it. And some bacteria are just known as unculturables. And they invented a device that allows these things to be grown. and really revolutionized the research of that field. Healthy fertility, early development, healthy babies. Our chair, Dr. Tilley, works with this with his research partner, Dr. Dory Woods. And they're looking at extending the reproductive life in women, like delaying menopause. They have discovered a way to insert mitochondria into non-viable eggs and make them viable. And this is a picture in the Time magazine right there of the first baby born with that technique, right? Babies being born all over the world from that technique. Dr. Tilley discovered that women produce eggs throughout their reproductive life, right? No one knew that before, right? Everyone was always taught you were born with all the eggs you'd ever have. Well, it's not true, and he proved it. Also, immunotherapies, right? That's a big one, right? Treating cancer with your own immune system, as opposed to more invasive and harsh treatments like chemotherapy and whatnot. How to make your own immune system fight cancer, right? That's one of the things cancer does. Is it sort of downregulates the immune system, and Dr. Sikosky has learned that by adding oxygen and super caffeine, they call it, to the sites of tumors, your own immune system can help to fight off cancers. Stem cells, regenerative medicine, looking at things like the black ghost knife fish, which is capable of regenerating the spinal cord. Can you imagine if we were able to apply that to humans, right? What that would mean to people, right? And then there's also an overall approach within the department at looking at healthy aging, right? And taking an approach to healthcare, which is proactive, right? Instead of reacting all the time to illness and to the effects of aging, actually being proactive to ameliorate it before it even happens, right? To ease people into the later parts of their lives, to have healthier, longer, happier lives. And all of these things are happening within this one department, and all of the researchers coordinate and collaborate. And it's a really exciting environment to be around. So we are constantly evolving our curriculum and our program to meet the needs of the market, of our co-op employers, the needs of students, and what medical schools and graduate schools are looking for, to make sure that we give you a targeted, precise, but yet still robust program to fit your needs, but also allow you to explore. And in doing this, we're also adding some flexibility, right? We offer courses over the summer. Most of the courses over the summer are online. I know that's not very exciting to you right now after the last year, but that used to be very exciting, and it will be again. But there's been a big push for truly excellent online courses, for rich and rewarding back and forth with classmates and professors. It's been something we've worked on before even the pandemic came, and it put us in a position to be really well prepared for when this happens, not miss a beat. We offer our larger required classes 4 times a year. Genetics, biochemistry, cell molecular biology are offered in every single semester, so you have plenty of opportunities to take them. Right? And examples of this flexibility, the development of the cell molecular biology major, right? We looked into it. We realized there was a need, that there was an interest in this sort of directed, degree program. And we built it out and we rolled it out. And it's been a big success, and it's growing quite rapidly over the last few years, right? We are working on a combined major with biology and business. And I would love to tell you it's right around the corner. But it's almost there. It's ended up being a little bit more than we anticipated, but it's going to be worth it, because once it comes out, one of the things we always think about is, I know if I could see you right now, and if I could ask you how many of you are pre-med, the majority of you would raise your hands, and that's great. But as you go through, think about healthcare. Right. And I know, given the past year, the interest in healthcare is through the roof. You would not believe the number of med school letters of recommendation I wrote this year. It's like 3 times as much. Right. So there's a lot of interest in it. But think about what goes into healthcare. Think about what goes into treating patients. Right. It all starts at a place like Northeastern, right, with the academic researchers working on a problem, whether it's unkillable bacteria, whether it's healthy aging, whatever it may be. Right, that's the start. Then it goes into industry, and clinical trials to be developed and brought for approval. And that's the kind of thing you would do on co-op, right? Our chair, Dr. Tilley, started a company to work on his fertility. Dr. Sikowski, who's working with the immunotherapies and cancer, started his own company to take that further. Same with Dr. Lewis and the Antimicrobial Discovery Center, right? This sort of biological entrepreneurship is a big focus of ours, right? And it's critical because what it's the bridge between the academic research, right, to the approvals, to then go to the clinicians, right, for use in patients. And we saw a great example of that with the vaccines right now for COVID, right? We had the COVID vaccines almost a year ago, right? They were developed that fast, right? But then they go to the clinical trials, right? It's time for the industries to test them, to make sure they're safe, to make sure they're effective, right? Then take them to approval. And now we're seeing them rolling out to clinicians, right? It's happened very, very fast and we're all grateful for it, right? But at any point in that chain, you're making an incredibly important contribution, right? To people and making lives better. And you should be proud, no matter where your interests lie, right? Along that sort of production chain. Right? Let's see what else you're very happy. General chemistry 1 and 2 have been combined into one. Just one general chemistry. We've realized that it maybe wasn't necessary to have all the extra, and we've brought it down just to what biologists need. Right? You'll still get the chemistry you need for med school, right? Because you're still going to take biochemistry. You're still going to take organic 1 and 2. Right. I'm sure the seniors that are on the panel right now are still mad at us for making this change it's too late to help them. Calculus, right? We took calculus 1 and 2, and now there's just one calculus for biology majors. Right? That's a great thing. But also, if you're working with AP credit, you're going to have BC in order to test out of calculus. But we can talk about that later. But these are all the sort of the modifications we're making to take out some stuff that's maybe not necessary and be able to put in things that actually will help to build you towards your ultimate goals and give you a really focused and valuable degree. This is just an example of some of the courses we built out over the last few years, and sort of to direct this same sort of idea, right? Courses in stem cells and regeneration. You see the one in red there, that's Biology Project Lab. That we're really happy. We're really proud of this one. This is, I see nods on the panel. This is a 4-credit lab course that you would take your second year, maybe third year, where you're in lab 6 hours a week, working on a project with cloning and genomics and learning techniques that co-op employers want, but also learning how to become a scientist, learning how to think like a scientist, learning how to identify problems and solve them, right? One of the hardest things in science is dealing with uncontrolled variables and having to identify them and learn how to control them. I find it to be one of the most fun parts of science because it's really the creative part. It's the problem solving part. But you'll get experience doing that in a guided way, right? Within this lab course. So current trends, reproductive science. I won't go through all of them. Cell molecular biology of aging. We've started a bioethics course. Right? And immunotherapies of cancer and infectious disease, that's taught by Dr. Sikowski that I mentioned before. Principles of data management and peer review, right? Getting your information ready for publication, right? How to communicate it. Clinical human embryology 1 and 2, that's offered in the summer, right? Just this year, we've added genomics, ethics, and policy. That is a course taught by a professor who is a joint appointment in biology and the law school. Right, so he has experience in the laws around genomics. Right, if you think about genome editing and CRISPR and whatnot, this is a really important and timely topic. Right, Neuroscience and Technology is another new one that we've just rolled out over the past year. Right? You see, it's constantly evolving, constantly listening to what students want, what employers want, and what the latest developments in the field are. And I will stop rambling, and I'm going to turn this over to some of my favorite people, our students. And they are fantastic. You're going to love them. Pepper them with questions, ask them everything, ask them about classes, ask them about co-op, ask them about life in general. Right? They're all seniors. They're all biology majors. And I will ask them to, I'm going to stop sharing and we'll ask them to go around and introduce themselves to you. So, who would want to start? Sabrina?
Hi, I'm Sabrina. I obviously am a biology major, and I did 2 co-ops over my time here. I did 4 years. My first co-op was as a phlebotomist. I drew blood all day, which was really fun, and I loved my patients. And my second co-op was at Alnylam Pharmaceuticals in their marketing department, working on a drug that came out actually last, I think, November.
Excellent. Anthony, you out there?
Hi, I'm Anthony. I am also a bio major, and I've done 2 co-ops, both in biotech, both 2 little startup companies, but both doing very different things. At the first company that I worked at, I worked on a drug product that was just approved for an IND, meaning that it was just approved to start being tested in clinical trials. So I was able to work on something, as impactful as that. And then on my second co-op was much more research and developmental based, which was a very nice change of pace. And I was very appreciative of both of those opportunities. And I definitely learned a lot during those.
Excellent. Athena.
Hi, I'm Athena, also a bio major, 4th year graduating this spring. I've done 2 co-ops here and no summer classes, which is awesome that Northeastern letting us do that basically. My first co-op was at Pfizer. I was in research and development, and my second co-op was at Penn Medicine as a nursing assistant on the surgical care unit. And I was able to get my vaccine from Pfizer actually when I was co-oping. So it was a really full circle experience.
Well, congratulations. I'm checking the website every day. And finally, Olivia.
Hello, I'm Olivia, a 5th year, and I've done 3 co-ops in my time at Northeastern in addition to on-campus research. And currently I'm working full-time while finishing capstone with Dr. Roth, which is amazing and exciting. My first co-op was at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. I worked in translational medicine. My second co-op was at a startup called Casma Therapeutics, which was also industry and mostly drug development. And my last co-op was at the Allergy Asthma Center of Boston, where I was a medical assistant, and I'm pre-med. I know people are excited to learn about that. I just took the MCAT, currently applying to med school.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Lauren, are you jumping back in now, or?
I'm here for you.
Excellent.
Thanks so much. And thanks to everyone for the awesome intros. Athena, that is amazing that you are at Pfizer at the right time. Okay, so we have questions that are coming in, and please do keep sending them in. So Professor Roth, the first question is, how successful are Northeastern biology students at getting into graduate programs? And can you talk a little bit about what type of programs that you see our alums going into?
I would say very successful. Combination of the coursework and the practical experience definitely gives you a leg up. Graduate schools and employers know that Northeastern students come out more mature than your average graduate student or your average undergrad. And again, with real recommendations and people that are vouching, and oftentimes with publications. I think most of the time with publications, which definitely puts everyone at a bit of a leg up. As far as what sort of programs, obviously there's the med schools, and we have a really good success rate of getting people into med school. I will tell you, we don't generally advertise our success rate because we are sort of unique in the way that we let everybody apply. A lot of other schools will only let certain people apply, but we let everyone give it a shot. So we don't look at rates so much, but we look at the numbers that get in, and they're quite good. As far as graduate programs go, it really depends on what your interests are. There's the biotechnology and bioinformatics route, right? If you want to get right in and start working on the technical aspect of things in industry, Or there is, it's more of the thesis-based PhD program, right? If you want to start, keep going in more of the creative research side and explore your interests, right? And that's, that will mean basically building a relationship with a primary investigator and working with them and sort of, developing yourself as sort of an academic. I just told him I wasn't going to give him the percentage.
Sorry, I can't keep secrets, Professor.
Fine. And this sort of develops you in the creative research side. So honestly, our graduates go in either direction, depending on their interests, and they have equal success in both. The one thing I will say, I already indicated this, if you're interested in science, whether it's biology or anything else, you're going to go to grad school. You are. And a thing I'll tell you about it is grad school is awesome. Grad school is fun. You get to do what you want, take one class, do research, or do whatever you want. I have 2 graduate degrees, and they were a blast. So don't be afraid of it and embrace it, because it could be some of the best years of your life. Although I hope your life gets even better after grad school, because mine did. That was good. All right, what else we got?
Life always continues to get better. That's the theme of tonight's show. So also, just to add in there, just as a data point, 32% of our College of Science undergraduates enroll in a full-time graduate program within a year of graduation. So also just another point of context. And yes, our acceptance rate for medical school is 79%. So sorry, that was a spoiler alert, but we're doing really well, especially compared to the 46% national average rate. Okay, for students, let's start with Anthony on this first question. I should ask, for our students who have AP credit or IB credit when they came in, do we have a raise of hands who had AP credit? Okay, so Anthony, we are going to start with you. What are your suggestions for the most valuable AP exams to take and to place out of in the bio curriculum?
So I guess there's 2 answers to that question. I guess the most valuable to test out of would probably be AP Calculus, which now is the BC though, not just AB, because then you wouldn't have to take calculus. But I guess most valuable for learning purposes is, I guess the easy answer is AP Bio, but for me at least, I would say AP Chem, considering that I would say just in general, like organic chemistry is a more difficult class compared to other classes, not to scare anyone, but you've probably heard organic chemistry, everything. It's very doable. But so I would say if I hadn't taken AP Chem in high school, the like bridge from high school chemistry to chemistry at Northeastern would have been a lot longer to cross. And so as far as valuable in that sense, I definitely would say AP Chemistry.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Just to be clear, you want BC Calc to get out of our calculus. All right, that's the only downside. So you said that, but just to be clear, BC Calc that's the only thing that'll get you out of our calculus. I should have mentioned earlier that for people with AP Bio, we have a special course called Inquiries in the Biological Sciences. So when you come in your first semester, instead of taking the Foundations of Biology course, you go right into this 2000 level course, which is with one of the biology faculty members. It's generally capped around 30, so it's a smaller section. And basically it's designed for freshmen with AP credit, where you're going to delve into a certain flavor of biology, a certain subject, but at the same time kind of reinforce the key concepts of evolution, genetics, flow of energy through systems, and all of that stuff. So that if you maybe are a little bit uncomfortable, I have AP credit, but can I jump straight into college? This is the course designed to be that bridge for you. And those of you that don't have AP credit, you'll take it your second semester. And then for chemistry, if you come in and you want to take organic right away, that's a choice you can make. You don't have to, but it's an option for you. And it is doable. You've heard horror stories, but it's absolutely doable. And there is free tutoring available to all students. So just know that.
Excellent. And Sabrina, what about you? I saw you nodding your head about AP credits. Are there any other ones that we haven't mentioned that you would add? I'm surprised to hear that people didn't suggest English to get out of writing.
I actually liked I hate writing in general, but I actually really liked my freshman writing class. So I think also at my school, it was really hard to get into the AP English. For me, I would definitely say chemistry. I think I didn't take AP Chem, and so Gen Chem was kind of tough for me, and I would have loved to skip it. Can you skip it? I'm not sure. If you have AP credit?
Yeah.
I would have loved to skip it, but I also think AP Physics would have helped me in physics as well, because I also struggled in physics. I'm not very good at chem or physics, but those two would have definitely helped me. I loved AP Bio. It was great and fun. And I also love the inquiries class. I second that endorsement.
Great, thank you. So I am going to pose the next question to both Athena and Olivia. We'll start with Olivia, if we don't mind. I love this question. What are some examples of ways that students are taught to think like scientists? It's a great question. Thank you so much for submitting it. Olivia, you want to start?
A great question. Yeah, no, I think that's super important. And as I mentioned before, I work full time now, which is a little more responsibility than I've had on co-ops. And I'm really, really seeing the effects of like the classes like Bioproject Lab and all of my co-ops now that I'm getting more responsibility, especially like Dr. Roth said, because science is creative. And I appreciate that because I'm a creative person. I'm crocheting a hat right now while we're talking. And I do music on the side. And, especially I'll talk about the Bioproject Lab because I think that was an especially useful course because there's only so much you can learn about actual lab science through a class. Like something that really shocked me, like, sort of delving into co-ops is, research is almost sometimes like you can't even tell the connection between the classes just because it's such a shock, like what you're doing. But Bioproject Lab is the perfect bridge to that because, in class, you're sitting there learning about what's the morphology of a cell, how does it process stuff, how do cells grow, et cetera, et cetera. But then you get in the lab and it's like a totally different ballgame. It's like my cells are dying, why? And it's not like you can answer that by saying like, well, the stages of mitosis are, but doing this class called Bioproject Lab, you actually get to do the full process of science. You get to think of your own topic for an experiment, the hypothesis, et cetera. You get to design the protocol. You get to work through all these kinks like Dr. Roth was talking about. And that's the best way you learn is by failing, honestly, for real, especially in science. And that sort of gets you that, thinking of every little sort of thing, like what sort of reagent was I using? Was it wrong? Was I using the wrong media? Did I incubate it at the wrong temperature because cells need to grow at body temperature, that sort of thing. It's been really, really helpful, especially with Northeastern's hands-on programs for creative learning.
Great. Thanks, Athena. Do you have anything to add to that question?
Yeah, sure. So I think Northeastern teaches us not just to think like scientists, but like they place value on holistic views. And so especially in science, you have to keep the big picture in mind, even though you want to be really detail oriented. And so they have a lot of supporting classes. I know Dr. Roth mentioned bioinquiries, and Olivia was talking about Bioproject Lab are both great supporting classes in order to help us think like scientists, for sure.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so show of hands, how many of you are graduating in a 4-year period of time? All right, so we got 3 over here. So Anthony, why don't you start us off? Because there are a lot of questions coming in about how can we make this happen within 4 years. So can we talk about your experience? And then Sabrina, we can go to you as well after.
Yes. So when you start your co-op cycle, you're either on spring or fall. So if you're on the spring cycle, that means your first co-op isn't until the spring semester of your second year. And if you're on the fall cycle, then your first co-op wouldn't be until the fall semester of your third year. For me, I was on the fall cycle. So my first co-op was fall semester of my junior year. And then I took the following semester, I was back in class. And then the following fall, this past fall, I was at co-op again. And now I'm in my final semester, gonna graduate in the spring. So, and then if it was spring, it would just be the other way. So the question here says something, the summer sessions. So when you take, so co-op is a 6-month program. So Northeastern has summer 1 and summer 2. Summer 1 covers May and June, and then summer 2 covers July and August. So for me, I took for the fall cycle, summer 2, I was on co-op. So my co-op started in July, and then it took me through December, the end of the semester, and I was back in class in January. So and again, if you were in the spring cycle, you would start co-op in January and then go until June. So it's I mean, so your summers, I guess that's where co-op covers your summers. But I mean, being able to work for 6 months and, you know, for twice throughout your 4 years of college and still be able to graduate, you know, fully on time. When I tell people who don't, like friends and family who don't know what co-ops are, they are still baffled by it. They ask me like if I took 8 classes a semester, my other semesters. But yeah, it really is an amazing opportunity. And I mean, I could go on, I'm assuming everyone else can, about co-ops and how you know, how great they were for hours. So
Wonderful. Thanks, Anthony. And then Sabrina, how about you? Can you talk about your experience with a 4-year and how you made it all work together?
I think coming in with a couple of AP credits definitely helped me. I don't think I tested out of anything but Bio 1 and 2 and jumped into inquiries. So you don't have to come in with, you know, a whole lot of AP credits to test out of classes. I did my first summer after freshman year as an orientation leader, and then I did one other summer semester after that. So I did 2 co-ops, 1 summer semester, and the rest of my semesters were in classes. And I know plenty of people who do it this way, some with a couple of more classes during the summer, some with no summer classes. It just depends on how you want to do it. I think some people prefer spring co-op, some people prefer fall co-op. It also just depends on the person and also on your program. Yeah, it was really manageable, and I think the benefit of doing 5 years like Olivia is to do another co-op, or if you're doing a combined major and you have more classes to take, sometimes people will do 2 co-ops 5 years because they just need to squeeze in all of their courses. So it really just depends on the path you choose. I think it's really great that Northeastern offers so many different options, and I think you can choose the path that you want, and it's not locked in when you're a freshman. I think you can also tweak it as you go, which I think is really helpful, because sometimes you come in as a freshman and you want to do, like I wanted to be a doctor when I came in, and 2 years later I was like, actually maybe not. And then I got to try something else, and I found something that I really loved.
I'm a big believer in college is awesome, and an extra year is a gift. It gives you a chance to explore, gives you a chance to try things out, find what you like. Don't be afraid of the 5th year if it comes to that. It could be the best year of your life. Because this is your opportunity to explore, to find new things, to see what you're interested in. You'll have freedom in college that you'll never have any other time in your life. Just to follow your passions. And if that means another year of college, you're welcome.
Yeah, I will say so I'm the only 5-year person here. I totally, I did the math. I could have graduated like a non-Northeastern university in 3 years with all my AP credits. I chose to do 5 years because, opposite of Sabrina, I decided to be pre-med halfway through college. So it's a big decision. So I just needed a hot second to think it through, and then take some extra prereqs, and then do a co-op in medicine. But I did 5 years, 3 co-ops, no summer sessions. That's just what I decided to do. And I'm also only taking 1 class right now, so I wouldn't even consider it 5 years. It's more like 4.5, because I'm just doing the capstone online. So yeah, totally manageable 4 years.
Excellent. That's a really great point, Olivia. And actually, Olivia, if you don't mind, I'm going to throw the next question to you because someone who is concerned with how do you balance, preparing for MCATs and co-op and classes and whatnot, they want to know how you did it, but then also, what type of support is there and encouragement from Northeastern to think about wellness in addition to being a great academic student?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough. So I actually started my pre-med studying last summer during quarantine. So most of the summers I've extended my co-op through the summer rather than, working or some in another place. So I worked for my 6-month co-op and then started July and August full-time MCAT studying. So basically as much time as I could, like during the day. But then once this last fall semester started, I was balancing the studying with classes. And the first thing that was recommended to me by my pre-med advisor, her name is Kira, she's wonderful, was to take a lighter course load, which is something I would just recommend people think about as a STEM major, because a lot of my friends who are, business engineering, they do straight 16 credits a semester. As a STEM major, you're looking at maybe 18 to 20 credits, depending on the labs you take additionally, and those take up a lot of extra time. So I didn't take any lab classes my semester that I was studying for the MCAT, and that totally reduces the amount of outside homework that I had. And I also took classes that I thought would be more manageable. Some of the electives that I've been saving up that were more of things I was just interested in rather than my sort of hard science classes. Definitely recommend that. Also, the Northeastern pre-med advising program and just the pre-health program in general, they are wonderful. They are so accessible and knowledgeable. And I'm sure Athena can also attest to this. They are available anytime for meetings. They have such a detailed organization, and that takes a lot of the stress off of the process, because I did not feel like I was jumping in the dark, jumping into pre-med halfway through college. There was a lot of guidance with things like they have monthly sessions to talk about different aspects of the pre-med, like things like they have like how to write your personal statement. Here's an interview workshop, that sort of thing, which I think really takes a lot of the stress off the burnout, because you don't have to do everything by yourself. And so I definitely think it's manageable. They are also the ones that advised me to I think I already said that, not take so many classes, but it was really helpful. It was super manageable, and I finished my MCAT, did great, and thanks to Northeastern.
I don't think we can take credit for you doing well on the MCATs, but we appreciate the shout out. That's all you, Olivia. Okay, so Athena, there were several questions that came in about the process for co-op and how students go about that. Could you share a little bit about your experience in preparing for co-ops?
Yeah, definitely. I think it seems intimidating at first. I know a lot of your siblings or friends that have applied for summer internships are usually really going at it for months, interviewing, super stressed. Northeastern makes it so easy because we actually have a co-op class. So it's co-op 1000 for an entire semester. The 1 credit course, you meet, I think an hour and a half a week. It's really not that much. And they help you build your resume. They help you cover letters, and Northeastern has, it used to be called NU Careers, but I think now it's NU Works. But basically there is a whole database of co-op employers that have had previous co-ops and want that position filled. And so they're looking for undergraduate students who have or haven't had, say, research experience or clinical experience, and they want to hire you. And so it's really easy. There's so many options and everyone finds one. So.
Great, thanks for that. And I do want to just point out one fact we were talking about. When students are on co-op, they are not taking classes and not paying tuition during that period of time. So I just want to make note of that too before we gloss over that important fact. Okay, so Anthony, can you talk a little bit about the class sizes at Northeastern and what your experience has been?
Yeah, so I would say the class sizes are very diverse. You have your Gen Chems and classes like biochemistry, which are larger, physics, which is larger. Right now I'm taking 4 classes. So 2 of them I'm taking physics and biostat. physics is about 80 people, and biostat is about 140. So those are two examples of classes that, much larger lecture style. And then I'm taking an elective called human parasitology, which is about 20 people, which, a lot more intimate. And obviously in an actual classroom would be even that much more intimate. And then I'm also taking capstone with Professor Roth, which is an online course, and just research throughout the course. But I would say, so lecture styles and class sizes is, very diverse. If you're someone who likes the more intimate style, there are definitely electives and smaller scale classes where you can, get that intimacy and get that, more one-on-one time. And then, there are also, just by the nature of how many students and how large the department is, there are larger lectures, which, there are perks to those as well.
Yeah. The survey courses are obviously going to be larger, like the genetics and the general chem, the organic chem. They tend to be larger. Although for courses like genetics and biochemistry, we've actually hired more faculty and split them into smaller sections, but they're still on the larger side. But those courses have labs associated with them, and they get capped around 20. So you still will be broken into smaller groups and having a little bit more interaction with the TA and whatnot. Our electives tend to be capped at 40. And they will enroll generally between 20 and 40 for the most part. And then other courses that are a little more involved, like Project Lab, is capped at 16. The capstone course is capped at 20. So once you're done with sort of your survey courses, the class sizes do come down a great deal. But it's not like you're going to be lost in a larger class. I remember distinctly handing in a paper to my chemistry professor when I was a freshman, and he looked at me and or I was getting it back. And he looked at me, looked down, and gave me my paper. We had never spoken before, but somehow he knew who I was. It was a little scary, but they know. We do pay attention.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think it's important to also point out that we are in the middle of a metropolitan city, and we do not have room for mega classrooms either. So our large classes are at maximum around 120, 130 for the space that we have, just to give an idea. Unless Dr. Roth overrides students into the class.
No, the largest class I ever had was 200, and that was one time.
One time only.
Sitting
on the floor. Okay, so we have a lot of other great questions coming in. Thank you. And okay, so Sabrina, why don't we go to you for this one? Obviously, we've been talking so much about all the science courses that students take. Can you talk about the humanities courses or just fun stuff that you've taken outside of the College of Science and how you're able to incorporate non-biology courses into your experience?
Yeah, I think this fits into that question that we did earlier with how can you fit everything in 4 years. I actually also did a business minor, which is 5 classes, 4 are required, and then 1's an elective. And that was my way of getting out of the hard science classes I was taking, which I do love, but I think it was good to get a new perspective, to take international business, to take finance, and learn a little bit about the business side of things. And that's what pushed me into my second co-op, which was in marketing, which I really love. And I'm now trying to look for a job in marketing. I also took criminology at one point, which I loved. And then we also do 2 writing courses that are part of the biology major, your freshman writing, which you can test out of if you want. And then also your advanced writing, which honestly, again, I told you, I hate writing, but I learned a lot in those classes. And I think it was actually kind of enjoyable to write and then have a finished product. And you feel that satisfaction, even though it was a lot of hard work. Yeah, so I think criminology and my business minor, that's already a lot of classes that are outside of my major. And you don't have to do a minor. You can just take whatever the heck you want if you do have the room for it. And I think it's definitely a great opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Roth, there are multiple questions that came in regarding the +1 programs. Can you take a moment again just to go over the concept of the +1 program and some examples of those that we offer at Northeastern with the bio?
Sure. So a +1 program is just that. You add a year, and essentially you add a degree. So as you know, you're getting towards the end of your, your bio degree or sub-molecular bio degree, and you found yourself interested in biotechnology or something like that and want to go into industry. A great option to, to enter the field at a higher level, it would be to do a +1 BS MS program. So you get your bachelor's degree, and a year later you have your master's degree as well. And those are in biotechnology. There's also bioinformatics, which is a cross-discipline of biology and computer programming. In order to, it was born out of the need to have computer programming integrated with biology to deal with all the data coming out of the Human Genome Project. And so basically it's sort of a smooth transition where you would apply your senior year into the +1, and you would just sort of continue. You'd still graduate with your undergrad degree, but then continue on another year and get your master's. And some people actually, if they have space, will take a course or two for their graduate program while they're still finishing off their undergrad, right? As long as they have, you can't count the credits twice, but if you have space for that, you can do that. And it's sort of a condensed way. As much as I said, graduate school is awesome. Sometimes, it's okay if you know you're focused on what you want to do. This is a nice way to get it done in an efficient way. It's not a thesis-based program, right? It would be coursework and practical experience, right? It's not like a traditional thesis-based master's or thesis-based dissertation where you would do a research project and then write something up and defend it. This would be more course-based and with again, a little bit more, some more intense lab work and things like that in your courses, as opposed to the +1 in the PhD program, which it's more than a year because it's a PhD program. But again, it's sort of, that seamless transition, and that would take you into a thesis-based or dissertation-based program, where you would start your own research project, see it through, and then write it up and publish it, and then walk out with your doctorate, sort of ahead of the game. And that's a nice thing because, a lot of times a PhD might take a little longer, and you feel like, well, I've been in school forever. This actually, you get out, on the young side sort of for PhDs, and that sets you up to be able to jump straight into a postdoc or whatever it is you'd want to do. So it's a really great way to build on relationships you've already established at Northeastern, and to sort of capitalize on all the groundwork you laid, especially like for the PhD. If you've started a research project as an undergrad and you want to see it through, that is a great way to see it through to its conclusion with a doctoral degree.
Excellent. Thank you for all of that valuable information. Okay, we have a great question, and we have just a few more minutes now. So I'm going to ask for our non-pre-med folks on here. So Sabrina and Anthony. Sabrina, let's start with you. What are your plans after graduation?
So I did a marketing co-op, as I've said, in rare disease. Basically, we had a drug launching in about like 8 to 12 months before we started working on our branded and disease awareness campaigns. Basically, I loved it, and I'm hoping to go into marketing again, hopefully in biotech or pharmaceuticals. I'm still looking, and we graduate in like 2 months. So hopefully I can find something by then. That is my goal. And then hopefully in a couple years, 3, 5, 7 years, I want to get my MBA. But I mean, who knows? I don't even have a job yet, so we'll find out.
Awesome. Yeah, if any parents out there work at a biotech and are looking for someone in marketing, Sabrina is available. All right, Anthony, what about you? What are your plans next?
Yeah, so this entire semester, for the most part, I was working at applying to jobs in the biotech field, similar to what my first co-op were at. Even though I wasn't as picky that time because I didn't have as many options, but I would say, so I applied to large companies like Pfizer, for example, like Athena worked at, and also smaller companies. I'm from Long Island, New York, so I was applying to companies in the the greater New York area, even though, I mean, truthfully, if you want to work in biotech, stay in Boston. There are so many options. It would have been a lot easier for me, but I was coming home, so I had to apply to places here. I was recently hired last month at a place on Long Island here. So I'm going to be working for the foreseeable future. I plan on going to get my master's in biotech, probably within a year or two. Not sure. We'll see how work goes. But I mean, the thing that I learned most throughout Northeastern in general is that, no one really ever has it completely figured out. Everyone's always learning, and new stuff's coming along. Like, I mean, I came in wanting to be pre-med, and then I worked in biotech and fell in love with it. But at the end of the day, like, I could work in biotech for the next 3 or 4 years and get my master's. And I've had colleagues at the biotechs I've worked at who are just now, they're 27, 28 years old going to med school. So you never know. So many things could change. And, the best part is that Northeastern gives you the opportunity to, get as much experience as you can, so you're best prepared for it.
Excellent. Thank you. I think that's really great wisdom. We love when students explore, keep their mind open, try new things out. Makes a great Northeastern student. Okay, we are actually just around our time limit here. Dr. Roth, I'm going to pass it to you. Any closing remarks that you have for students? I have entered in your contact information into the chat. So if students would like to follow up with you, they can reach out to you directly.
Okay, that's great. Please do. I'd be more than happy to get on a Zoom call with you if you have questions or just want to talk something through. If you send me an email, please put in the subject line that you're from you're a Welcome Day student or something. I get hundreds of emails a day during registration periods and stuff, so I don't want to miss you. So definitely put it in the subject line, who you are, and I'll get right back to you. I would get right back to you either way, I promise. But sometimes I have to prioritize when it's 100 in a day. I would just kind of go back to what Anthony was saying as far as and what Sabrina was saying, what everyone's saying, which is the idea of exploring. But the fact that a biology degree is, if you're interested in science, it is at the very least a great starting point. And we would love you to stay with us throughout, but maybe you go off and you become a chemist. I don't know, as long as you find your way. But it's a great way to explore. And people tend to come in and they think, biology, it's pre-med or it's pipetting all day. And that's just not the case, right? If you've listened to what everyone's saying here, there are all sorts of different opportunities, all these sorts of different paths you can take with a biology degree. I mean, look at me. I didn't end up where I was planning when I was a freshman, but I kept my mind open and I ended up someplace where I'm extremely happy. So just be open to that, be open to explore, and just know that this degree is the best pathway to a degree in science, whatever that ends up being. And think like a scientist. As a scientist, we think from general to specific. We think in general terms, we narrow it down to the problem or to the question. And that's what you'll do as an undergrad. Start off generally and start narrowing down your interests by exploring different avenues, looking at different variables, and then you'll get there. So be patient and enjoy the journey. Not to sound corny, but I did. It's a great thing. As far as Northeastern goes, like I said, I've been here since 1992. It seems like a big school, but it's not. It's actually a kind of an intimate community, especially with half the people being on co-op and half here. There's a tremendous support system with advising, with tutoring, with we care. We just took a day off yesterday out of nowhere, right? Just to give the kids a break after this last year. They said, hey, you know what? No classes today. And all the professors like, excuse me, but you know what? We did it. and that's how much we care. That's how much we want you to be successful. And this is a good place. Not to oversell it, but I mean it. It's a good place. So welcome, and please never hesitate to reach out to me for any reason.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Roth, for the final closing remarks. I want to say a special thank you to Sabrina, Olivia, Anthony, and Athena. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to be with us and the students. There were many more questions that were sent in, so I apologize we didn't get to them here. I will be following up via email with folks who had questions unanswered. So stay tuned for those. As long as you weren't marked as anonymous, if your name is on there, then I can get back to you. Otherwise, I would encourage everyone to keep watching our virtual information sessions in the College of Science. We have one tomorrow evening on our independent research, where students can find funding for funding their own research projects at Northeastern. And other than that, I wish everyone a wonderful evening, and please do follow up if you have any questions. We love to get to know you a little bit more. Until next time, thanks everyone. Have a good night.